everyone, and welcome to today's gardening video. Today's video is let us grow some lettuce. After the winter and buying some store-bought vegetables, I am so excited to get out there and plant some of my own vegetables, some homegrown. So today's video is on growing lettuce from seed. So it is early spring. It is the first crop that I plant in my vegetable garden. So I want to talk about how easy it is and how gratifying it is to grow lettuce, and just give you some tips on growing lettuce from seed. So I will say that lettuce, first of all, is a cool season crop. So I have been out in the garden planting lettuce as early as mid-March. So I'm zone 6A, and it's a great time of year for me to grow lettuce because, like I said, it loves the cool weather. So normally lettuce will grow best in the low 60s, so 60 to 70 is ideal. So you can really get out there after danger of frost and work the soil and plant your lettuce seeds directly in the ground. So even though lettuce is really a cool weather crop, for you folks that live in a warmer climate, you can still have your lettuce. But my tip would be to, number one, plant it in a location that gets a little shade, so especially afternoon shade. So a little bit of morning sun would be great, and then some afternoon shade if you're in a warmer climate. And tip number two would be to really research your lettuce, because there are different varieties that will do better when they get a little more heat tolerant. But being in New England, I'm loving being out here early spring and doing this project. So number two is, for me, I get out there early, and number two is to pick a spot that is part sun. So lettuce does still need some dappled sun, but my spot here is on the northeast side of the house. So it gets some good morning sun, and then in this spot here it will get some afternoon shade. So I'll be able to have this crop a little bit longer, which is really exciting. I love to make my salads, my own salads. So the next hot tip I have for you is your soil. So I've already done a little bit of soil prep for you, but I want to walk you through what I do to prep my little lettuce patch here. So this garden is really essentially a raised bed. So it's a terrace spot here. So I'm fortunate enough to have a spot where I have put some really nice soil in here, so I know what I'm starting with. But for you at home, you may want to do a soil test, and you could also do this project in a raised bed or even a container. Containers are so nice because, just like the raised bed, you can control your own soil conditions. So even though I know that it's been really nice soil put in here, lettuce does like it nitrogen rich. So they like a really nice, rich, organic soil. So I've scraped back some of my garden mulch here, and then I worked the soil just a little bit. Not necessary for me to get in here and till, but you can do that, or you can also loosen the soil with a pitchfork. I really love this little hand tool. All of the items that I'm using in the garden that make my life easier, I like to share with you, so I will put some links in the description below. So loosen the soil, and then I added some of my own really nice compost, and I mixed it in with my garden soil. So compost video coming your way, part 1 and part 2. So many great things about composting. So that's really it for amending my own soil here. So I've got this little patch already prepped. And the next thing I want to talk about is protection. So you'll notice that I have this really pretty garden cloche here, and it is a mesh wire cloche. So I love this one because it has the extensions here. I'll also put it in the link. But lettuce seedlings, there's so many animals and rodents that love to eat them. I, in the past, have had some issues before the cloche came along with some voles, some woodchucks, but I have also heard people having problems with deer and turkeys and rats. So I really like to protect my investment here, and highly recommend doing some kind of cloche, or at the very least a little fence. Bunnies will also get at them. The only kind of bunny I'm going to have in my garden is my bunny statue here. He or she is the only one that's welcome here. So I put up the cloche just to show you, and also because I wanted to push it into the ground a little bit so I can create a shape for myself for when I'm planting. So I'm just going to try to move this aside. Now I like to plant some of my vegetables in patches, a little mass planting. For me, it's a huge space saver, and I do like that it looks a little more ornamental. So mixed patchwork of vegetables over here, but you can also plant them in rows. My tip for doing my method, which are the patches or the mass plantings, is just make sure that it isn't so big that you can't reach to the center of it to harvest your vegetables or to work in the garden. So this for me is a really nice size and location, because I can just come out here with my kitchen scissors and cut myself some lettuce. All right, so to get started on the how-to. So I have my seeds here. There's so many different kinds of lettuce out there. There's head lettuce, there's loose leaf lettuces. So I like to do a combination for myself because, like I said, I love my salads, my nice healthy salads. So the options that I have for today, just to share with you, also a lot of different colors for your lettuces, which add to the visual appeal. So I have a nice red romaine. I have a garden blend here, which is pretty exciting. It'll be a little mix and a surprise for me. I do like to buy organic seeds when I can. And then I have oak leaf lettuce. So you could do just one variety for yourself, whatever variety you love to have in your salad most, or you could do a mix like I'm doing here. So when I did my prep, I worked my soil and then I put a little bit back in the bucket. I'm going to keep that aside for covering my seeds. So now for the real fun stuff. We're playing in the dirt today. So my lettuce seeds, like I said, I'm going to do a combination here. I cut from the bottom of the packet, and I will show you why at the end of the video. That's just a fun little Lisa side tip here. The lettuce seeds are really tiny. And this mix here is the organic garden blend. So you can see how tiny they are in my hand. So generally, the tinier the seed, the smaller the seed, the more towards the surface they can be. So in other words, you don't really need to cover them up as much as you would a larger seed. So remember, I have some of my soil that I scraped off and I set aside. And all I do, this is so easy, is I just sprinkle the seeds right on the top here. This one here is the oak leaf lettuce. Just sprinkle it all. And we're going to have a nice, thick, hearty patch of lettuce. Okay. So I have 2 varieties, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of the red romaine. So I would say for a patch this size, you would need 3 to 4 of these little seed packets. I also buy seed in bulk, so that's what this is here, and I'm just using a little bit of it and keeping the remainder for some succession plantings, which is another video. Okay, so pretty heavy there. And then I am just going to lightly cover this with the soil and the compost that I set aside. And that's because the seeds do require a little bit of light to germinate and get going. This stuff really makes me happy. I am so excited. Okay, and then I like to tamp it down. Okay, now I do like to put just a tiny bit of mulch back over the patch because it's really hard to mulch around the seedlings once they pop up, and the mulch does help, you know, keep the roots a little bit cooler, and it will help the weed situation, so prevent some weeds here. So I am going to get in there and just very lightly put some of my mulch back on, and then I like to keep a little pile around the edge in case I need it in the future. So I put just a tiny bit of mulch back. You could also use some straw for your mulch if you'd like. The mulch is not necessary. And then I'm going to put my cloche back in place. Okay, and there's some protection for my seedlings. So I bought these separately. These are just some soaker hose pins, or they're also used to pin down your landscape cloth. So these are really handy for a lot of things, but I like to just pin the cloche down a little bit so it doesn't get blown over, or make it easier. We don't want to make it easier for some smart critters here to get at our little lettuce seedlings. Okay, now that's it. Lettuce is a pretty fast growing crop. So a lot of varieties you can harvest in 30 days, so 30 days from today, or up to 7 weeks. So that's also very exciting. It's a pretty fast growing crop. And for care, I am definitely going to give it some water now, and then I'm just going to keep it watered. So you can water it daily unless we get some rain. And that is it, folks. That is how you plant your lettuce seed. So stay tuned for many more videos coming your way. I'm so excited to be out here again and doing these videos for you. And if you like this video, please tap like and come on and grow with us and subscribe to our channel.